Hey, what's up, guys? So we know that sound is fundamental to learning a language faster, to understanding natives, and to speaking in a way where you can connect with native speakers. But in order to do that, we have to learn how to train new sounds. And this is probably a new concept to you. It's a new skill that you have to develop, but I promise it is worth your while. It is one of those language learning superpowers that just makes the process so much easier. So let's go. How to train any new sound. So here at Inglês no Cru, we use a simple 3-step process to train any new sound. This is from personal experience. Both as a language learner and as a teacher, I find this is the most effective way. So 3 steps to training any new sound. Step 1 is identifying the sound. Step 2 is training your ear, being able to listen and distinguish between other sounds. And step 3 is to train your mouth. The most important thing, you got to move your mouth. Okay, so step 1, identifying the sound. When we talk about identification or identifying a new sound, we are talking about understanding, developing a conceptual understanding of what is happening in your mouth physically when you produce a sound. Okay, so every sound we make in English, we are doing things with our tongue, our teeth, our lips, our throat, and that is how we produce new sounds. So the identification process is super important because most of us do not know how to do this intuitively, right? For example, it is very easy to know what you're doing with your hands. Think about your hands. I can say, I can close my hand. I know exactly what my hand is doing. I can manipulate it. I can move it. Imagine if you are playing basketball or you're explaining to someone how to play basketball. You can say, oh, you can put your hand here, you can do this, put your arm here. It's easy because we see it, right? But with our mouths, it is more difficult because we don't see what is happening in our mouth when we speak. But the cool thing is, the magical thing is that we can do the exact same thing with our mouth with a little bit of training. So at the end of this course, you will be able to say, oh, how do you make that sound? Or how do you pronounce this word? Oh, well, you put your tongue, the tip of your tongue is right behind your teeth, touching the roof of your mouth, and then you expel air. So a lot of people think about pronunciation as, just speak a little bit more like this, or just try to do this. But you can be very technical about it. It's a science, right? It's a physical activity, so we should treat it like other physical activities, like sports. So step 1 is identifying the new sound. All right, step 2. Step 2 is training your ear. It's developing the capacity to listen to the sound in a variety of contexts. Because it's one thing to identify the sound and say, oh, that's how we make it. But it's totally a different thing to be able to hear this sound in fast conversations and to be able to distinguish between 2 very similar sounds. So throughout this course, we'll have a lot of training with your listening and developing your listening capacity. We will use a lot of pronunciation beats, audio exercises, and minimal pairs to distinguish the difference between 2 very similar sounds. Okay, so finally, step 3, train your mouth. Training your mouth is the most important thing. It is the most difficult thing. And for me, it's the most fun part of the process. And I'll try to make it as fun as possible for you guys. I think that you will grow to love training your mouth to make new sounds as well. So when I say training your mouth, I really mean training your mouth physically. It's like learning a new sport, because it's one thing to identify and understand sounds, but it is another thing entirely to be able to produce these sounds in fast conversations where you can automatically produce a sound without thinking about it. It's second nature, it's intuitive, and that's ultimately what we have to do to have conversations with native speakers. You cannot always think about, what am I doing in my mouth? You have to be able to do these things automatically. And in order to do that, you have to train a lot. So again, don't let that scare you. It is just like learning a sport. You know, if you want to be a professional basketball player, you have to spend a lot of hours on the basketball court. It's the same thing. If you want to speak English fast with a good accent, understand people, have people understand you, make connections, you have to put in a lot of hours of moving your mouth, getting your mouth accustomed to new positions. So one more time, there are 3 steps to training any new sound. Step 1, identify the sound. Step 2, train your ear. Step 3, train your mouth.